Welcome back to So You're Interested In, the show where I break down an artist's discography in order to give you, the viewer, the best possible jumping off point in order to get into their catalog. And on this episode, we'll be going through the discography of thrash metal greats Power Trip. With unrelenting riffs and soaring vocals, Power Trip have quickly risen to be one of the great modern spectacles in the metal scene. Hailing from Dallas, Texas, this group has made a name for themselves with their brutal mix of hardcore punk and thrash metal. While their 2 studio albums are great, it's their live performances that truly separate them from their contemporaries. Although, unfortunately, their frontman and lead singer Riley Gale tragically passed away in 2020, so we're still unsure whether we're going to get more music from Power Trip or not. So, to help make sure that their legacy lives on forever, I'll be suggesting 2 albums and 3 individual tracks that I think you should be listening to if you want to dive deeper into the world of Power Trip. First things first, the albums. The first Power Trip record to listen to is their 2017 LP, Nightmare Logic. With soaring riffs and powerful lyrics, Gale and company ripped through this record with precise strikes and excellent accuracy. The first song to hear is the thrashing Executioner's Tax. Easily one of the heaviest Power Trip tracks, it finds the perfect balance between catchiness and far-reaching dynamics. Gale's vocals pull you right in like you're watching the swing of the Executioner's axe yourself. Next up is the title track, Nightmare Logic. Much more chaotic than Executioner's Tax, Nightmare Logic finds a way to pick up the pace of the already rapid guitar and drum pulses. The mixing on the vocals is dirty enough to leave an edge, but not polished enough to create an audible shrill, as that job is left for the guitars. This is classic thrash for the modern day. Finally, there is the activist anthem, If Not Us Then Who. Taking the immensely powerful words of the late racial justice leader John Lewis, this song is a call to action for a better community tomorrow. This song's construction is intense, building on the lightning-fast guitars with random outbursts from the percussion and bass. Nightmare Logic is not only a staple of modern day thrash metal, but it is also the crowning jewel of Power Trip's discography. This is simply a must hear for new listeners. The next Power Trip LP to check out is actually their Live in Seattle release. Recorded in May of 2018, Live in Seattle absolutely rips from front to back, perfectly showcasing the level of energy and talent at a Power Trip performance. Suffer No Fool is already a killer track, but the live performance is simply unstoppable, like a train without brakes. Gale's vocals are nastier than ever, while the instrumental completely drowns out and smothers the screaming crowd. I can only imagine the insanity of that pit. The transition between Suffer No Fool and Soul Sacrifice is abrupt, but somehow it still fits the overall vibe of the show. Gale commands the crowd like a demonic preacher, instructing them to mosh while he evangelizes his satanic sermon. Soul Sacrifice is also a great example of just how good this record sounds, as the mixing on the instruments, particularly the percussion, sounds so crisp and fresh. One last song that I would like to note is the lightning-fast Heretic's Fork. Its dynamic structure and rapid chords speed by with absolutely no regard for the laws of physics, breaking the sound barrier with each and every sonic blast. The performance is second to none, making Heretic's Fork one of the liveliest tracks to be played at this larger-than-life show. While Power Trip do have some amazing records under their belt, Live in Seattle is one of the best representations of what you can come to expect from this psychotic group. An absolutely necessary listen. Let's move on to the tracks. The first Power Trip track to check out is Divine Apprehension, which is the opening song of their 2018 release, Opening Fire 2008 to 2014. Without a doubt, one of the heaviest Power Trip cuts, there is just no way to not get pumped up listening to this. Once again, Blake Ibanez and Nick Stewart's technical guitar skills are put on full display here. Vocal delivery feels much more rooted in hardcore than it does metal, giving this track an interesting spin. And despite it being one of their oldest songs, as this record is a compilation album, it still feels super fresh and enticing. Divine Apprehension should be the go-to starting track for any incoming fans. Next, you get the unstoppably catchy Crossbreaker from the 2013 release Manifest Decimation. Don't let the pounding bass in the beginning fool you. This track still finds a way to light up the room. Personally, this is one of my favorite vocal performances from Gale. The call and response style of the hook reminds me of some older East Coast hardcore songs. Plus, screaming out Crossbreaker over and over again is just pretty damn badass. The instrumental isn't out of control, instead shifting the weight to the vocals and lyrics. Crossbreaker will be a welcome track to anybody who gives it a listen. Last but certainly not least is the latest single, Hornet's Nest, which dropped in 2019. Off the bat, the production on this thing is just so in your face that it might as well slap you. This is probably the cleanest production that Power Trip has ever had. More than anything, it's the mixing on the drums that just stand out so much, in a good way of course. The guitar bridges are exhilarating and Gale's lively performance is full of character and swagger. At the end of the day, Hornet's Nest is just just a solid power trip song. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it is still a song that is completely worth listening to. Be sure to check this one out. And that will do it for this edition of So You're Interested In. Hopefully you got some good recommendations from this video so you can go out there and start listening to Power Trip. Personally, I do really hope that this band is able to move forward at some point and put out some more music. I'm sure that that is such a tough decision, especially with somebody as charismatic and incredible as Riley Gale as your former leader. He's just somebody that will never be replaced in the metal community, and it's just so sad to see. And that's just why I feel like Power Trip deserved to have a legacy that lives on forever, as Gale gave his entire being to this metal community. Anyway, if you're at all interested in this group, all of the albums and tracks that I talked about are linked in the description box below. While you're down there, you can let me know if I missed one of your favorite Power Trip albums or tracks. Maybe you've never heard of them at all before and you took my recommendations and you end up liking something, just let me know in the comments. You can also recommend any artist that you would like to see featured on this show. I have a growing list of artists that I'm already working on right now, so just don't be discouraged if you don't see yours right away. Be sure to subscribe for videos just like this every single week, and also make sure to check out the podcast/radio hour that I host called Forever Spinning Radio. Anyway, that's all that I have for you this week. Just make sure to go out and support your local artists and local record store, and until next time, happy listening.